Welcome, everyone. It's Thursday. Yes, yes, it is Thursday. Today, action through inaction. People have always marveled at what that means, but it is simply using the principles deliberately. The action that one takes is mental, so that the physical action that occurs is easy and effortless and natural. How do we expand on that? When we try to make things work, right? We we may have a problem, and instead of sitting and just examining what's going on, we try and figure out how to fix it. Okay? That would be action from the outside. But then again, is it? Because look at the mentality of, oh my God, what's going on? How do I make this work? What do I do? Right? How do you see that mentality? That mentality is what causes us on the outside to throw mud at the wall to see what sticks. Even in our moments, right? We can only follow principle. We can only follow law. We only ever do action through inaction. How, you say? Because of the mental attitude. Whatever that mental attitude is going to dictate the external behavior. Can't get away from it. So action through inaction is not something that one, quote unquote, has to achieve or attain. You are already doing action through inaction. What do you mean inaction? Mentally is where all your work is done. Mentally is where all the work is done. We just do what is already done. This is why Neville would say that creation is finished, right? Because the actions that we do are dictated by the mental attitude. We cannot escape that. Well, I wouldn't want to anyway, but what I would prefer to do is to master it. What it looks like on a daily basis, how do I get there on a daily basis, is called observation. Watch the self. When you get up in the morning and you say, oh, I'm hungry. Well, where did that come from? Inside, obviously. And then what do you do on the outside? Eat. As within, so without. This is how non-complex it is. And for some reason, when we hear how easy it is, everything within us, our quote unquote logic, what we've learned, pushes against it and says, no, that's not true. Life is not that easy. When in actuality, it is. It is. We act. Action is the physical thing, the tying of the shoes, whatever, the driving of the car, the ironing of the clothes. That's physical action. But you see, the inaction means you don't do it on the outside first. It doesn't originate there. It originates within. This is why I like that scripture. It's it's a pretty cool scripture. If a man lusts in his heart after a woman, he's already committed the act. That's the scripture. And when you hear that scripture, sometimes we can clutch our pearls. Sometimes we can say, throw that book away and burn it. Eh. Listen to what it is saying to you. If you do it within, then the external has to follow. That's all it means. The principle of correspondence, as within, so without. That's all it means. It's not a judgment. It's just that when you have to speak to humanity in a way that humanity can understand. So that's what the story is talking about. And the story, when that story says to you, if he lusts in his heart after a woman, he's already committed the act. Well, we're human. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you. Right? We talk about it all the time. It's one of the driving factors of humanity, or there wouldn't be so many of us. We don't grow on trees, right? All it's saying to you, that simple little scripture, if we would not judge it and just hear it and listen to it, we would recognize the principle of correspondence. Action through inaction. Which means you don't have to fight to make it work on the outside. Just get the mental attitude on the inside, and you cannot help but do the thing on the outside. I'll tell it to you every day until you go, "Oh, I saw it. I saw it. I did it. I did it." And I'll tell you, slow your roll. Calm down. Do it again. Do it again. Do it again until it becomes your lifestyle. And then you'll begin to see that, wait a minute, I can change. You see, we do all of these things on the outside. We say affirmations on the outside, you know. We do yoga on the outside. We go to the gym on the outside. Trying to figure out how to change our lives and quote unquote be better. You're not, there's nothing wrong with you that you have to be better. Just you're learning how to master what? You. You're learning how to move deliberately. You're learning how to live deliberately. Some would ask, well, Angela, since you talk about it so much, do you have it all together? I, my beautiful friends, are just like you, sitting in the classroom with my pencil and paper and my eraser. And I practice, and I practice, and I practice, and I practice until certain things no longer require practice. They just have become the habit. Somebody said something to me yesterday, and it stung. And then partway through the stinging, I said, whoa, wait a minute, wait a minute. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Perhaps they're having a bad day. Perhaps they're under a lot of stress. They're just telling me how they feel. They're not telling me about me. Whew. It took me, listen, it took me a little bit to remember that. Took me a little bit to remember it. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Right? To be yelled at for no reason. It's like, whoa. I had to remember that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Because my mind did go all the way down that rabbit hole talking about, I'm saying to myself, How dare you talk to me this way? I didn't do anything to you. What do you mean? Like, how can you be so mean to me? How can you have two faces? Blah, 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 blah. And then something, like when your mother would slap you up against the head. It was a whoopax. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And that was the first time. The second time, because I was still holding on to it and feeling some type of way. And then one of the lines from the movie, "You are failing." And I was like, "Angela, it's not about you. Let that go." And I'm sitting there and I'm having this internal conversation, telling myself, wait, it feels like you're hurting, but it's not you, really. It's not you. It's not your hurt. Don't pick it up. Leave it, leave it, leave it. It's not yours. It's theirs. It's okay. You're okay. Until finally it took root and I realized they weren't talking about me. They were just telling me how they were feeling. And I breathed a huge sigh of relief. And I said to myself, man, the day can't come fast enough when stuff comes out of somebody's mouth and I'll be like, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And it doesn't hurt me or affect me like that. Not because I'm not human, but because I comprehend. And that also helps me to know, taste my words, check my mood before I speak. You understand? So that when I speak, I'm speaking from the deliberate mood I want to speak from instead of, oh my God, flying off the handle. It works both ways. See, that incident caused me to remember how to be. Because when I saw it, I said, ooh, I don't want to be like that. No, no, no. And the way to not be like that is to be deliberate. Taste your words before you speak them, which means to check your attitude. And you see, the more you practice checking the attitude, you will find that over time, the inaction, right? The flying off the handle, that part diminishes. Why? Because you will have mastered the art of polarization. Tasting those words before they come out of your mouth, checking that mental mood before you open your mouth to say something. And you do it real quick. So you see today, my beautiful friends, the way we act is always through the inaction. Inaction, yes, the mental portion is not a physical action, it's mental. And you're not seeing it. There's no evidence of it until you do it. So the inaction brings about the action. The inaction. What is the inaction? The checking of the mental attitude is the inaction, the not doing something to bring about something. And for some reason, we think that that's not how we live. That's the way we live because it is law. The law doesn't say, well, we don't really deal with that. That's above our pay grade, so we can't help you with that one. No, the law says all things. We run this show. The way you think, the way you speak, the way you act, we run this show. Period. They don't, and that's the thing. The law doesn't discriminate against what to do and what not to do and what to govern and what not to govern. It governs all things. So that's what makes life predictable. I keep telling you, there aren't any surprises. There are no surprises. There's no randomness, there's no chance, there's no luck. There is, however, law, cause and effect, pattern, rhythm. So today, recognize that the inaction you take is mental. You get that mental attitude right. Oh, but Angela, you talk about mental attitude all the time. Can you explain what that means? Are you in a good mood? Or are you in a not so good mood? If you are in a good mood, what are your thoughts like? What are your words like when you're in a good mood? What are your external actions like when you're in a good mood? Now, what happens if you're in a not so good mood? Doors are banging, horns are being laid on a little longer than they should be. The side eye comes out. The quick, witty phrase, don't start, nothing won't be, nothing comes out. So you see, it is only the mood, yeah? The mood. That is what dictates the action you take. The mood. If I say the name Barry White, if I say the name Marvin Gaye, I can say a lot of names. If I say Earth, Wind, and Fire, if I say Prince, naturally a mood will follow depending on the name that moves you most. Like the young man who came in and I said, well, do you have a points card? He goes, I don't like points because they'll make me do things for just the reward. And I said to him, do you think you act in any other way? Everything you do is for a reward. I said, you might as well be deliberate about it. You shopping, you got to spend your money. You may as well get the dividend back. Because everything you do is for a reason. Only you know that reason and what drives you. He goes, you know what? I've never thought about it that way. He goes, I've never seen it that way before. He goes, that makes so much sense. I said, well, it's just an observation, love. You see, we look at things and we judge them and we say, well, that's bad. They're going to track my purchases and blah, blah, blah. You have to shop anyway. And anybody who watches you long enough will know your buying patterns. Period. Right down to the brand of toilet paper you like. And if you are loyal to a brand or if you just shop for the sale, it doesn't matter. What matters is you get to be the one to be deliberate about the thing. But you see, we get caught up in the little teeny tiny things and we miss the big picture that says everything has a pattern. You watch long enough, you'll know when a particular store goes on sale and what items they put on sale every time. And then what do? Behave according to the sale. Fancy that. We all act upon that reward system. We have the grocery shop, so you might as well get the dividend. So you see, action through inaction. Mentally, we act. Mentally. And because you can't see it, it doesn't count as something physical. Putting yourself in a mood is mental, but just, do you grasp what I'm saying to you? That mental activity of feeling as if you're being tracked all the time, you are. Then just pull a Bonnie Raitt. Let's give them something to talk about. Just pull a Bonnie Raitt. That's as simple as that. Do what you're going to do, but be deliberate about it. We complicate things far too much. God, that was like the other night that guy came in. Oh my God. I just cannot believe what I, and I, he did not smell of weed. So I can't say, but I knew there was something just a little bit not all there. But he did have the wherewithal, because I'm giving him the look of the grandmother in church, you know. And he says, thank you for your patience. So he did. There was something inside of him that recognized. And I'm just watching him, and I'm like, okay, how can I help you? And every time he answered, he would stop and he would sing something. And in the back of my head, I'm saying, don't beat this man with the mop. Because I'm like, son, you're acting a fool. Until one point I said, sir, are you are you all there? And I literally said, are you all there? He goes, yeah, I'm all here. And I was like, no, you're not. But like I said, he had the wherewithal to say, thank you for your patience, because he understood. He knew his behavior, right? And all the time in the back of my mind, I'm like, and I wasn't afraid of him because he was like huge, and you don't want to annoy people when they that big, and so but I wasn't afraid of him. I just, in the back of my mind, I was thinking, what is he on? Like, and that's what caused me to act in the way I did. So when you pay attention to how you behave, you will see what your mental attitude is. Mental attitude, mental mood. You'll see what it is, because it will dictate the inner conversation. One of the best times to notice the inner conversation is when you're doing a mundane task. You'll catch yourself. You'll see how focused you can be. Mopping the floor, there's a rhythm to do it in. And when you break the rhythm, you're like, ah, shoot. That's when you know there's a thought that invaded somewhere. You're like, oh. But it gives you an opportunity to see how you have disrupted the pattern of what you were doing. When it gets you out of the flow. Like when you watch anybody doing sports, when they're in the pocket, when they're in the zone, you can see it. When they slip out of the zone, what zone? The mental zone. Mentally, they are so focused. You can see it. You can also see it when they slip out of it. That's when the coach says, get your head in the game. What? Get your head in the game. What do you think he's talking about? He's talking about your mental attitude. Get that in the game, which means get it right. What is your mental attitude? Your mood. That is the inaction. The action is what you do on the outside. That shows you what the inaction was. So we always live by way of action through inaction. We act according to the mood that we are in. If we take the time to observe it, we will see the corresponding law. And when you see the corresponding law, you know how to pivot. You know how to change. And you see, when you know that and you live from there, you realize that I'm looking for that scripture that says, you count it all joy. Good, bad, or indifferent, you count it all joy. Where's the joy coming from? Knowing that through my inaction, which is my mental work, I bring about action. It's as simple as that. Knowing that that's what happens. But you see, we don't want to believe it. We want to think that the actions we take are, random, or by fate, which is the same thing, when in actuality it is not. So today, my beautiful friends, pay attention, because you'll save yourself a lot of just everything. You'll just save yourself a lot because you won't take offense to what people say. Because, sometimes some people can be out of pocket, you know? Some people can be. But you won't take offense. You won't get mad at somebody because you'll understand what's happening, thereby saving yourself so much energy. And people, you know, how you have the monks who don't show emotion. It's not that they don't show emotion, they comprehend emotion. They comprehend. Uh, in order for me to interact with this thing, I'm going to have to give energy. Let me explain. In traditional Chinese medicine, when you needle somebody, acupuncture, there's qi and blood. Yeah? Qi would, in other words, be the life force, the thing that you cannot see. The awareness, that is your qi. In physical form. There's mental qi, physical qi. Eh? Now, the physical chi, if somebody comes in, they say, you know what, I've been struggling with fatigue, I'm so exhausted. You got two choices here. Because if you recognize that when you needle them, for the body to use that, when you needle them, they're going to have to take energy from somewhere. And they are already telling you they're tired. So you can't take more energy from them by needling them, unless, of course, you needle as few things as possible. In that case, you just do 2 needles. This is why I learned how to thread, because you can access 2 points using 1 needle. You penetrate energetically. Stomach 36, gallbladder 34, and then that's 1 needle, and then liver 3 to move things nice and steady. So when you talk about boosting something, you have to take the energy from somewhere already. So if it is already low in the body, I can't boost you. I will deplete you more. You have to tread very carefully when you do that. So that's when you would turn to digestion, meaning a herb, a herbal tea. Because now it's just water. It's easy now to absorb things through stomach, right? But you still have to digest it. Water is the easiest thing. So again, you're not taking from them and making them more tired. So that's why every time you engage in something, it takes from you. So when you learn to master inaction, which means to get the mental attitude correct, you will save yourself a lot of physical energy. Because then you're not taking offense at this person, that takes up. What do they tell you? You're living in my mind rent free. Do you truly understand what that means to have somebody in your mind rent free? A lot of people don't understand that thinking burns calories. The brain only eats glucose. So everything you eat becomes glucose just so you can feed your brain. The thing that breaks down into glucose the slowest is what you want because it's consistent. It's not going to spike you. But when you do that, you'll realize that you maintain or you sustain your energy. But you know what we're quick to notice? Oh my God, when I hang around this person, I feel so tired when they leave. Because you are giving away. Nobody can take from you. You have to give it. So the moment you engage with something, so this is why when you comprehend that out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, nobody can insult you They're just telling you about themselves. When you grasp that part and you don't take offense, you preserve your life force because you're not taking pieces of yourself and throwing it here and throwing it there. You're taking pieces of yourself mentally and engaging with so many things that by the end of the day, you're like, I'm so tired. Learn the art of action through inaction, and you will preserve your energy. Know that the action you take, the naked eye, which would be the inaction, the mental mood, the mental attitude, it is action. But because you can't see it, it doesn't look like it is. So that's why it is in action. You're not out here forcing something to work. You're getting the mental attitude, and then cause and effect take over. Correspondence takes over. The mental attitude brings about the experience that matches it. As within, so without. Thereby, you are constantly recreating what you are. So I trust that today that makes a little bit of sense. So that when you go out into the world, you will walk with the knowing that, you know what? Let me get my head in the game. Let me get my mental attitude the way I want it to be. Because my mental attitude is a dictator, not a tyrant. Not that kind of dictator. The dictator means it tells you what to do, right? But not in a tyrannical sense, right? Your mental attitude, your mood will dictate your actions every single time. Learn to be in control of that. And, when we say the word control, it doesn't mean you're going to rule it and blah, blah, blah. Nah, it means you know how to be deliberate. How to be deliberate. That's what it means to be in control of something. How to deliberately move yourself. So I trust that it makes sense to you today, because I don't want to prattle on all morning. According to YouTube, we've been prattling. Well, I've been prattling for 32 minutes, according to YouTube. So let's welcome everyone. I know I'll save you for last, YouTube. I'll give you guys an opportunity to type if you so desire, if you are safe to type. Yes? Oh, Tiffany is here. Hello, darling. And Yoda Green. Maybe Javion has already gone to school. Probably. Now, there's a very focused young man. And do you know, Javion has been a part of this beautiful friends community for quite some time. Both him and his mom. I remember when we used to host nighttime meditation, and he was always there for that. That's how I first met him. Him and my son are similar in age. And it's beautiful to watch how they grow and mature and use the principles at will. So you give him a hug for me, Miss Tiffany. You tell him Auntie is proud of him and to keep up the good work. Because, you think about it, if somebody had, when that scripture says, train up a child in the way it should go and it will not depart from it. As within, so without is all that's telling you. That when you learn how to do something, it's what you'll do and how you'll do it. Until you decide to learn something else. That's the only way you would depart from it, is when you learn to do something else. So you see, Yoda Green, I see you too. Sweetness, I see you. So this is what is beautiful when we practice being deliberate in that action through inaction. And Nikola Tesla was a great example of that. He did all his stuff mentally. All of it. It would break mentally. He'd fix it mentally until it didn't break anymore, and he figured out what the problem was. So then he would just build it. Talk about measuring twice and cutting once. That's what he did. Action through inaction. He built that thing from the ground up. Sure he did. But he had already built it somewhere else. He built it mentally. And he worked out every single kink you could possibly think of. If I do it this way, and he watches what happens, and he goes, oh, I don't want that. I want this to happen. So he would go back in his mind's eye and do it again over and over and just test it out. Until he, what? Knew he had it right because it worked the way he wanted it to work mentally. So then obviously it was going to work the way he wanted it to work physically because he'd already done it mentally. So on the outside, it didn't look like he was doing anything. What's his name? Edgar Casey. Same thing. On the outside, it doesn't look like they were doing anything at all until they did it. But they did it mentally first. And they're telling you, they are, Your Honor, Exhibit A. Using the mental mood to create the physical environment. You see, Your Honor, he looks like he's doing nothing, just asleep. But he's not. He's building a whole world in his mind's eye. Going through every cause and effect. If this happens, then that'll happen. Blah, blah, blah. What I want this to happen, so let me do it this way. Action through inaction. So the final thing that you do is the action. But the action has its origin within inaction, which is the mental attitude, the mood is the best way, the best word so that you can grasp what it is. Because if I tell you, you're going to act according to your mood, you'll know your mood. I can tell you what mood little bit it's in. Of course I can. I've been watching him long enough. So you can see what mood you're in. Well, then you know how you will act. And you know that if you change your mood, you won't act that way. So now do it every day for every situation. And through practice, because you know what we do, we perform what we practice, you will change your life. Oh, but Angela, that's too easy. Well, if you want it to be harder, go ahead. But you know what? I prefer nature's way, the path of least resistance. Every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. So I don't have to figure it out. I like that. It leaves me open to do many more things. Conserves my energy, increases my brain power. Does many things. I want that one. Thank you. Instead of talking about all my life I had to fight, please. It's exhausting. Stop it. Anywho, who else is here with us this glorious day? I still see you, YouTube. I still see you. We got my sweet Casey. Hey. Miss McQueen. Hello, darling. I saw this liqueur last night and it had a little hat on it, the bonnet, the Scotch bonnet. And I giggled and I thought of you. I said, oh, how's my girl? I said, how's my Scotch bonnet? Yes, I did. And I was like, wait a minute. Because it's Scottish, right? The liqueur is Scottish. And I was like, what? That's a little tan. That's a little Scotch bonnet. And right away, I thought of you. So you see, always on my mind. You know what? Let me stop. Hey, Ray Ray. I see you. Oh, Miss Deborah. I see you. Big Mike, woo, is in the house. And then there's Michael also in the house. I see you. Listen, thank you all for being here on a lovely day. And if I did not call your name, it's because I didn't see you. Not because I'm ignoring you, it's just because I didn't see you. I love you all. I wonder, is Melly Mel here? How about Liza, darling? Is she here? What about the better man? What about Commander? They could be in the shadows. Just listening. But I see you. I see you. And I thank you all for being here. Because, listen, I know it is early. It's the crack of dawn. And I had a good friend in high school, and her name was Dawn. And I used to say that saying so much until one day she looked at me and she goes, "Why are you obsessing about my crack?" Because it was always at the crack of dawn, right? Anyway, you get it. So every time I say that, I remember her. But it's just one of those things. I have so many fond memories. And you know, when you begin to polarize yourself towards your fond memories, the fond memories are a cause and they bring about an effect. Because where do we live from? Our memories, the things we know. Because the things we know put us in a what? A mood. And the mood does what? Dictate the way we think, the way we speak, and the way we act. See, you're doing a whole lot of action through inaction. Melly Mel, I see you. She just dropped something in the chat. She goes, "I'm here, sis." I knew you were waiting. It is so lovely to see you. It always is. Anyway, y'alls, I'm gonna go get ready and get up on out this house and head on down the road again. Life is beautiful. And I know some days it doesn't always feel that way to us. But if we turn ourselves towards that mental mood, you'll see a shift. And that shift feels so good that you'll say, "Oh, please, sir, can I have some more?" And you stay with that mental mood for as long as you can. Because remember, we don't sustain the mood indefinitely. We flow in and out of it habitually, thereby giving it the appearance of sustaining, being forever. I love you. And I will see you because you know what tomorrow is. Oh, yes. And I look forward to seeing you again. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stir it up, little darling. Stir it up. Stir up the mood within you. Hello. Stir up the mood within you over and over and over again until it becomes your lifestyle. And watch your life change. Peace out. Mwah. Loving you.